It's 2017, June 16th. And Forrest Fenn is answering questions about know the limits. We're back to this concept, if you're out in the desert, know the limits. He's addressed it. He talks a lot about the desert, and he sometimes alludes to the fact that, remember, you're out in the desert. So, I mean, if you're out there, water. He likes that idea of, you wear the long sleeves and the hat and the whole bit. Okay. So this is Fenn dealing with a question about, well, I'll just read the question. Mr. Fenn, I am reading that several people have been lost while looking for your treasure. On Monday, we will go on our first search, and we are a little apprehensive. Since you are the only one who knows where it is hidden, can you give me some advice that'll help keep us safe? That's Mrs. SRM and her son asked the question. Fenn said, yes, Mrs. M, your email is timely, blah, blah, blah. It's easier to get lost or stranded in the wintertime because the weather is such a factor. The spring and summer conditions can be just as unforgiving if you're not prepared. Don't overextend yourself. I'm not going to read all of it. It's a long answer. If you or your son have any physical limitations, please don't attempt the search. Many flatlanders suffer altitude sickness in the Rockies. Don't go into the mountains alone. 2 searchers together is an absolute minimum. 3 or even 4 is better. Stay within eyesight. I mean, he's really hitting every single outdoorsman safety rule. But of course, I believe part of the reason Fenn does this is for legal reasons. I have no way of knowing that. I just know that if any of these things where people die or get injured, end up in court, seeing Mr. Fenn basically tell you all of the ways to stay safe out there is probably a very smart thing for him to do. It's just totally my afterthought. Food, water, proper clothing, matches, bug spray, GPS are requirements. Can't always find cell service in the mountains. Wearing waders in fast-moving water is dangerous, especially if you don't have the chest type with a tight belt. You don't have to move big rocks or scale a precipice or to get to the treasure. Stay away from dangerous terrain. You could have knocked me over with a feather when I read this. We're long into this answer in the 2017 Mysterious Writings. Fenn is saying, know your limits. How to stay safe. The summer sun can sap your strength, so it is best to wear long sleeves, long pants, and always a hat, especially in New Mexico. At the first sign of fatigue, turn back. If you are not camping, plan to be out of the mountains before dark. If your solve is in the desert, get a new solve. And remember, much of the Rio Grande River is not in the Rocky Mountains. What? If your solve is in the desert, get a new solve. And remember, much of the Rio Grande River is not in the Rocky Mountains. One more time. If your solve is in the desert, if your solve's in the desert, get a new solve. It's not in the desert. What the have we been talking about all this time? We've been talking about the desert. If you're in the desert, you need a lot of water. There's so much to be learned in the mountains and in the desert. The desert in the summertime's unrelenting. You have to have water. I think the problem that people searchers make is they don't dwell long enough on the first clue. We're talking about the search, and we're talking about the desert in numerous quotes. Margie Goldsmith, contributor, HuffPost.com, HuffPost.com, HuffPost.com. Original quote from 2011, updated 2017. Fenn, worried the cancer would recur, said to himself, if it comes back, I'm going to grab a pocket full of sleeping pills, take a treasure chest filled with treasure and a copy of my bio, and I'm going to walk out into the desert. Sometime they'll find my bones in the treasure, but my bio will be inside the box, so at least they'll know who I was. If your solve is in the desert, get a new solve. This, folks, is why I'm a confused old man at this point on this treasure hunt. Not trying to bum you out, not trying to be a jerk, set your rosy idea of where the treasure is. I'm not falling out of the hunt. I actually ordered Too Far to Walk, but I gotta tell you, you look too much into a lot of this stuff and it gets quite confusing and depressing. Maybe more confusing. Shouldn't be really depressing. Irritating. That's the word I'm looking for. Pissed off. It's not. If the desert's your solve, get a new solve. What was I thinking? Thinking it was in the desert. You would have thought I went and read a bunch of quotes where he talks about searchers being out in the desert. I mean, he never really pins down. I have to admit, he talks about, well, what am I saying? He said, I'm going to go out in the desert. I was just going to say there's the famous quote where he talks about sitting under a tree in this special spot and sitting under a tree and stuff. And so you think, oh, it's probably in the forest. And he talks about going into the forest a lot, just like he talks about going in the desert. But then he says, I just got to say it one more time. At the first sign of fatigue, turn back. If you are not camping, plan to be out of the mountains before dark. If your solve is in the desert, get a new solve. And remember, much of the Rio Grande River is not in the Rocky Mountains. He so blithely just blows off the entire concept of being in the desert for the treasure hunt, for the search. So all you desert people out there, however you want to define, and see, and I know Fenn would sit there and start talking about, well, what really is desert? You know, how do you define desert? Because desert, of course, is just an arid area. You know, you can have, I guess, technically, I think I saw people debating this one time. I'm not even going to look it up now, but I saw people debating what desert really was because they were debating what kind of country they thought it would be if they were in the desert. And someone was saying, well, you can actually have greenery there depending on what kind of plants you have. It's how arid it is. And of course, when I was in Vermilion Creek in Colorado, in Moffat County, that place was arid. I mean, I forget what I read when I was online looking at it before I went, but it was extremely arid. And when you were there, it was just hard, dry, dusty ground and rocks. And then you had these little scrub trees everywhere. That's all I got for you, folks. I just thought I'd, make your day. as I do sometimes. I think it's just incredible that you could, if you missed that quote, you could be convinced that the desert is where the treasure is. And because of all these other quotes where he alludes to search areas, people, go out in the desert. If you're out in the desert, make sure you dress properly. If you're out in the desert, this, desert, that. And then out of the blue, if your solve is in the desert, get a new solve. That just blew my mind. That's all I got for you, folks. Have a good time. I've got another Forrest Fenn video I'm going to do in the next couple of days because it's already embedded in my mind. It's kind of far out. It's a theory. And, some guy recently said, some of your videos, you throw out ideas, but you don't really back them up with a lot of evidence. And I'm thinking, I mean, if you watch the videos, yeah, that's true. When I was up at Molly Brown, I had this whole, boom, 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 boom thing of the clues and how they all fit together on a map. And what difference did it make? I mean, the way I look at it is this. Especially with my next one, that's going to be dealing with one small part of the poem. If I have an idea and I put it out there, and someone says, that really fits with what I've been trying to figure out, that one little idea fits, that's cool. I have had a couple of people tell me I have helped them by watching my videos. Now, they never really elaborated what I meant by that. But they said, I want to thank you for helping me with my search. So, my little idea could just be something that helps your big picture. My little idea just helps you tweak some little part of your big picture. And that right there is cool. Or it may not help at all. I mean, this certainly doesn't help, right? Because all it really does is bum you out if you think it's in the desert, or you've been thinking your solve for the last year that you're getting ready to go out in the desert, and then you realize that he said somewhere, if your solve's in the desert, get a new solve. I don't think it can be any more clear than that, right? If your solve's in the desert, get a new solve. It's not in the desert, according to Forrest Fenn. It's not in the desert, according to Forrest Fenn, mysterious writings. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oops. It's not in the desert, according to mysterious writings. 2017, June 16th. Know the limits. The treasure is not in the desert. All right, folks, have a good one. Hope everyone's enjoying themselves. I think I'm going to go up to Mason Gem Mine. It's up in North Carolina. I'm going to go up there very soon. I might video it. It's a place where you can go and you can dig for gems all day long. It's very unusual in that some places you go and you pay for, you can get a certain amount of buckets of dirt and then you use their sluice, but for a certain amount of money. This place, $30 all day long. Opens at 9, closes at sunset all day long. $30. You can kill yourself, especially if it's hot, carrying big loads of dirt and sluicing them all day long. But I just think it'd be good exercise. It'd be fun. And people do pull gems out of this place because it's in the news. They have newspaper clippings of people when they find stuff. So I just thought it'd be fun. Lots of gems in North Carolina. Anyway, everybody have a good time. Talk to you later. Bye. Oops.